Hello, everybody. Tonight we're launching Weird Spins DVD night on Fridays. Could be DVDs, could be Blu-rays. Sometimes there are Blu-rays out, and I happen to have the DVD. What can I say? I'm on a budget. I have taste for crazy things, and I don't have that big a screen anyway, so I will deal with what I can get. I'm accustomed to actually in the past having quite a bit of unofficial stuff because the official stuff simply wasn't available yet, which means you would have a sacrifice in quality based on just acquiring whatever was available. So today's movie is The Other Hell. The Other Hell is a film by Bruno Mattei, here credited as Vincent Dawn. Vincent Dawn, Bruno Mattei / most famous credit probably within the United States would be Hell of the Living Dead, which was also originally released as Night of the Zombies, not to be confused with another Night of the Zombies that was made by the director of Bloodsucking Freaks. It stars Franca Stoppi, who's pictured on the cover. You may have seen her in Joe D'Amato's Buried Alive, and Carlo DeMeo, who is probably best known domestically for his role in Lucio Fulci's City of the Living Dead. This film was made in collaboration with longtime collaborator to Bruno Mattei, Claudio Fragazzo, who also worked on After Death Zombie 4, Troll 2, which is considered by many to be the worst movie ever made, but I would oppose that notion. It's at least a very entertaining film too. The interesting thing about these films, before I go too deep into it, is this film and another one with the same cast called True Story of the Nuns of Monza were made at the same time using the same cast. Fragazzo would be filming one picture downstairs, Mattei filming another picture upstairs in the same building, and according to their needs they would trade places and borrow film stock from each other. It allowed them to complete 2 films in the time space that it would ordinarily take to complete one, and the cast liked that because they got paid for both. They did this on 3 separate occasions. They also did it when making a pair of prison films, Violence in a Women's Prison, and another one that was called sometimes Women's Prison Massacre or Blade Violent. That one is actually an Emmanuel film. I haven't seen Violence in a Women's Prison, at least not lately. It's been many years since I've seen it, so I don't recall if that one was an Emmanuel film or not. Starring Laura Gemser. Maybe that's pronounced Gemser, I'm not sure, from the Black Emmanuel series. So those 2 women in prison films were made the same way, 2 films being made at the same time, and Franca Stoppi is also in those. They also did a pair of westerns, Apache and Scalps, in the same way. Alright, so one of the things that makes this of interest to people in the vinyl community, especially prog fans, is if you're a fan of Goblin, people talk about, there's a movie out there sometimes that borrowed music from 2 Goblin albums that were studio albums, Roller and the concept album Il Fantastico Viaggio del Bagarozzo Mark, which was actually a vocal album with some instrumental passages. So they didn't use any of the vocal portions for this, but this film is scored almost entirely from those 2 albums. So it plays kind of like a long-form messed up music video. I don't have an actual full trailer, but I'm going to go ahead and share the clip that I have. This also features Franco Garofalo, aka Frank Garfield, who may be familiar to you from Hell of the Living Dead and Patrick Still Lives. It is your typical European trash cinema kind of Italian B-movie exploiter, in that it has a hint of sexploitation about it, a passable amount of blood and violence to make it interesting. A hint of sleaze and some nice atmospherics. If you're not familiar with this type of cinema, expect some kind of corny dubbing at times. Some of the dubbing is very good, some of it's kind of corny in this one. This is the sort of film that, if you're familiar at all with spaghetti westerns, a lot of the same crew did spaghetti westerns that do these films. Thrillers, gialli, horror films, all kinds of films came out of Italy. Sword and Sandal films with people like Reg Park and Alan Steele. This is that kind of thing, but this is next level into the R rating, and occasionally for the 70s and 80s beyond R rating for violence kind of thing. This one, not that particularly strong compared to many, but it is pretty out there and different and weird, which makes it perfect for weird spins. There is a hint of camp about it, so do expect that. This version is from Shriek Show. This is a DVD that I picked up used on eBay, and I think I only paid $7 for it shipped, and it came in absolutely beautiful condition, so it's reasonably priced. The transfer is a little dark, but it's still really nice and clean. The sound on it is nice and clean. It has some nice extras in it, including an extensive interview with Carlo Di Maio, which was really cool. I know that Severin has put it out since then on Blu-ray. I do not know what extras are on that Blu-ray. I do not know if the transfer looks any brighter or any more spectacular. I'm sure, being a Blu-ray, in some ways, of course it's going to look better because it'll have higher resolution. But if you're on a budget and you're looking for something that's fun and passable and just trying to check it out and not necessarily going to be the world's biggest fan of it, this is a nice copy. And I enjoy it. I pop it in from time to time because I like it in the background. Again, it plays very much like a sort of long-form music video, with the music from Buio Omega, which is, again, Buried Alive, and from Il Fantastico Viaggio del Bagarozzo, Mark, and from Roller, and I'm sure there's probably a couple of other sources in there too, but those are the main things that are known of or credited at the front of the film. One other thing, I had said at the beginning that this is credited to Vincent Dawn. I've seen one-sheets from the theater crediting it to Vincent Dawn. I've also seen VHS that was out back in the day. I think Lightning or somebody put it out. I'm not sure. Maybe it was Media. It was one of those companies, and that credited it to Vincent Dawn. But when the print is actually rolling, the film print in this particular copy says Stephen Oblowski, which is actually just another pseudonym for Bruno Mattei. So if you pick the movie up and you put it in, don't think that you've got the wrong one, because it says directed by Stephen Oblowski, because it's still the right picture. That kind of goes on a lot in this scene. Anyway, that's it for DVD Friday, and check out a weird movie today. See you real soon.